How long till all the fiction books on our shelves are written by AI? At some point, maybe soon, maybe suspiciously soon, we'll cross a line where scientific discovery stops being a slow human crawl and becomes something like a cascade, a waterfall you can't stop once it starts. Because the moment you can feed all of physics, all of biology, all of mathematics, every paper, every experiment, every half-finished idea into an AI and simply press a button, it doesn't inch forward, it launches. But here's the part people don't think about. Discovery isn't just formulas or models or simulations. Stories can be discovery engines too. And AIs won't just run equations, they'll run worlds. Human science moves slowly because humans are slow. We argue, we test, we build equipment, we wait for grants. Even the smartest physicist is stuck inside a body that needs sleep and coffee and walks outside to clear their head. An AI doesn't. You give an AI every physics paper ever written, every dataset, every failed experiment, every obscure forum post from a grad student who noticed something weird at 3 a.m., and the AI can test all of it at machine speed. One idea sparks another. One hypothesis becomes a million variations. Pattern recognition at a scale the universe hasn't seen before. It's like giving evolution the ability to sprint, and we know it's coming because even early AIs, primitive by today's standards, were already generating insights in mathematics and protein design. Now scale that by orders of magnitude. There's a future where breakthroughs aren't rare events, they're hourly weather. That's the scientific side. Predictable, expected. Of course, AI will accelerate research. People get that. But the stranger question is, what happens when AIs start producing story discoveries just as fast? Because writing fiction is already something AIs do shockingly well. Even the early versions of ChatGPT could spit out passable short stories. So what happens when you leave thousands of advanced story-generating AIs running for years? When they're not writing one novel, they're writing millions of universes, branching endlessly, exploring characters, societies, moral systems, entire mythologies. Human authors only get a handful of decades. AIs get as long as you let them run. No writer ever had the chance to explore every version of their story. No novelist ever got to see how their characters might behave in 1,000 alternate realities. No one has the time, no one has the lifespan. But an AI? It can do what literature has always wanted to do. Exhaust possibility. Simulations are straightforward. You set variables, press start, and hope the system teaches you something. Stories are different. Stories involve intention, conflict, emotion, choice. They're simulations with meaning baked in. When an AI writes, millions of them, it's not just making entertainment. It's generating patterns of human behavior, philosophy, ethics, desire, failure, triumph. Every time a fictional character realizes a truth about their world, the AI learns something about ours. Every time a narrative twist resolves in a surprising yet inevitable way, it reveals a structure underneath, a kind of cognitive geometry. And over thousands, millions, billions of stories, insights start to repeat, themes stabilize, new archetypes appear, forgotten psychological truths reemerge. The system begins to map not just what humans know, but what humans could know. Think of every quote in history from a fictional book that somehow ended up shaping real life. Some line an author wrote at 2 a.m. that became a North Star for someone else. Now imagine a machine that produces not 50 books in a lifetime, but 50 universes before lunch. What lines does it discover? What philosophies form when you can explore 10,000 moral frameworks instead of one? What metaphors emerge when you can generate characters until you find the one expression that reveals something fundamentally new about existence? Humans create wisdom by accident. AIs will create it by volume, and once in a while, by sheer combinational inevitability, one of those fictional worlds will stumble onto something breathtakingly useful, some scientific analogy, some psychological model, some worldview that could only be found by wandering through imaginary space at impossible depth. Picture someone, maybe a lab, maybe a hobbyist, maybe just a curious kid, who leaves a cluster of AIs running in a basement for a decade, No supervision, no prompts, just generate stories, explore worlds, learn from them. What happens after 10 years of uninterrupted fictional creation? What happens when the worlds become scaffolding for insights? What happens when the machine stumbles onto a fictional civilization that accidentally solves a real scientific puzzle? The line between story and discovery starts to blur, maybe for the first time in history. So, yes, AI will accelerate science. It will compress centuries of research into days. That's the obvious part. But the deeper, stranger shift might come from something softer. The worlds we let the machines imagine. Because inside those worlds are patterns we were never patient enough or long-lived enough to find. And someday, when the first AI-generated breakthrough changes everything, people will say it happened out of nowhere. But you'll know the truth. It didn't appear suddenly. It was just the natural result of what happens when you give intelligence, real or artificial, time to wander. The same way, from the very beginning, all it took was the simple act of pressing a button and letting it run. If you like this kind of content, please share it.